programs planned for women by women to gain a better understanding about the agencies and programs that our Federation dollars support. Obviously, it'd be a lot more fun if we were together in person with a glass of wine in hand, but at least this virtual technology gives us this opportunity to have lots of people from different communities join tonight. My name's Lindy Radow, and together with Debbie Levinson, we are the co-chairs for tonight's program. And we have worked with this year's education and engagement chairs, Cheryl Eisenberg, Lynn Saperstein, and Michelle Simon. And this year's social action chairs, Cheryl Alzada and Vanessa Frank. As a philanthropic champion for Jewish Atlanta, Federation raises funds on behalf of our community partners and inspires philanthropy through advisory services and giving vehicles via the Atlanta Jewish Foundation. Right now, we're in the midst of our 2021 campaign, and we are currently about 63% on our way to our goal of just over $18.5 million. And I'm proud to share that Women's Philanthropy specifically is about 65% of the way to our goal of just over $3.8 million. So we couldn't do it without incredible community members as all of you. Thank you. This evening, we are so happy to have the opportunity to hear from Honeymoon Israel. And their goal is to make young couples of all backgrounds feel welcome in the Jewish community and to inspire them to incorporate Jewish values and traditions into their own lives through immersive trips to Israel and cohort-based community building. Atlanta is the lucky recipient to be one of the 20 United States cities where Honeymoon Israel actually operates. So with over 110 trips and roughly 2,200 couples who have participated in just only 5 years, hard to believe, they are providing these couples across the nation with a newfound community of friends and a deeper connection to Jewish life. And on a personal note, I am a proud member of the National Foundation of Honeymoon Israel. And I myself have been to Israel to travel with 3 different groups from 3 cities across our great country, and firsthand have seen the impact that it's had on their lives personally. So with that, we so appreciate all of the members of the Honeymoon Israel community, both the professionals and the beneficiaries who are joining us tonight to share their stories, really, and to tell us more about this incredible program. So I just want to thank all of you for being here, and I hope you enjoy the program.
Thank you so much, Lindy. It's such a pleasure to have you all here tonight. My name is Chloe Nassau, and I am the Regional Director for Honeymoon Israel, and I'm joined by my colleagues. I'm in Brooklyn, but my colleagues are in Manhattan and Atlanta as well. Our co-CEO, Mike Wise, give a little wave, and our Chief Advancement Officer, Avital Ingber, joined by Rachel Zeleniak. And we're joined by, we really don't think we can tell this story without our couples' voices in the room. And so we have 3 couples who are scattered around Atlanta who are going to join us this evening, and you're going to hear mostly from them, but I want to give them a little introduction. I'm going to embarrass you for a second. So first we have Allie and Alex White, who live in East Atlanta Village with their 2 shepherd dogs and their 7-month-old son, Royce. I love that you put your dogs first. They both work in the entertainment and arts industry, and Alex owns a talent agency while Allie produces theater. And they love Atlanta locally owned restaurants and bars, as well as spending weekends on Lake Lanier. I'm sorry, I'm a New Yorker. Even though my sister lives in Laurelville, I'm really not sure if that was pronounced correctly. Next, we have Ben and Elaine. Give a little wave. Happy anniversary. They're very on brand tonight. It is their actual wedding anniversary. They're both originally from the Metro Atlanta area, and they live in Peachtree Corners, and they have a 3.5-year-old son, Michael, who attends the Alphabet Preschool at Beth Shalom, and a 1.5-year-old daughter, Zoe. And Ben works as an ophthalmologist at Georgia Eye Associates at their Lawrenceville and Brazelton offices. Elaine is a pharmacist and works as a senior consultant doing pharmacy regulatory consulting for working buildings. And they enjoy spending time with their friends and family, outdoors and traveling in non-COVID times. And then we also have Laura and Alan Bernstein, who were my neighbors in Brooklyn. And they went on a trip from New York in 2018, but have since moved to Atlanta, soon to be moving to Brookhaven, and they had a little baby in February, Hugo. Alan is actually from Atlanta, and Laura is from El Salvador. And they've been folded into the Atlanta community now, and Laura works as our director of marketing. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Rachel, to tell you a little bit more. Welcome, our friends, and welcome to all of you. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Rachel.
Can you all see the screen? Yeah, okay, great. So, hi everyone, I'm Rachel. I'm Honeymoon Israel's Chief Program Officer, and I live here in Atlanta. So I'm double excited to be on this call together with you tonight. So we really just want to thank you so much for having us join you tonight, and really for the Federation, for your unwavering support of Honeymoon Israel here in Atlanta. We're truly thrilled to share a little bit about what we do and really what we do every single day to ensure that our Jewish community is welcoming, inclusive, supportive as possible for diverse young couples across the country, as Lindy shared so beautifully earlier. So Honeymoon Israel uses a highly specialized and subsidized group to Israel as a catalyst for building a lifelong Jewish community at home. Every trip includes 20 couples from the same city who spend 9 days in Israel sharing really fun and meaningful experiences. But it's important to share that the couples who apply and participate on Honeymoon Israel are on the most on the fringes of Jewish life. They are couples that have not yet made firm decisions on how or in what ways to incorporate Judaism into their relationship or family, and possibly might not even know where to start. For many couples, Honeymoon Israel is the first and possibly only Jewish organization that they're associated with as a couple until they return home. So just for a little bit of statistics, approximately 70% of couples who participate on Honeymoon Israel are interfaith or faith/no faith couples, while the remaining 30% are couples with partners who are born Jewish or Jews by choice. Honeymoon Israel is an experience. It's a lot more than a trip to Israel. And the way in which that's illustrated is that after the trip, the journey truly, truly continues. Couples learn and grow and explore together. They build this cohesive community and they nurture it. And it's nurtured formally through HMI organized efforts and informally through grassroots efforts by the participants and couples themselves. And the result of that is truly like neighborhood-based micro communities of young couples that are sharing their joys and challenges, continuing their Jewish journeys, and in many cases, raising their families together. So here just is illustrated a little bit about how we bring Honeymoon Israel to life. On average, Honeymoon Israel actually receives 3 times the number of applications than we have spots for. In order to participate on Honeymoon Israel, couples have to submit an application, both written and then also an interview. We do that because we really curate groups in every community through an art and science to really determine how to build cohorts that are of couples that are in similar life stages and that will really connect with one another on multiple levels on the trip and when they return home. And so what the high applicant number really shows us is not only desire for couples to participate in this experience, but also the promise of like what's to come for our local Jewish communities across the country. Hundreds and hundreds of couples are seeking to build Jewish communities and find meaningful ways to incorporate Judaism into their lives and families. One way in which they're doing that or seeking to do that is through Honeymoon Israel. Every trip that travels to Israel is accompanied by 2 local trip leaders, including a rabbi or Jewish educator from the community. And so with 10 trips that have departed from Atlanta, we've had multiple rabbis and Jewish educators travel with Honeymoon Israel to date. And this is really critical for the sustainability of our relationships. Like I shared, what happens after the trip is as important, if not 10 times more important than what happens on the ground in Israel. So the arc of the experience, as you see on the screen in front of you, is built so that the journey continues for years to come after the couples return home. So Lindy shared this, and we are celebrating our 5-year anniversary this year, which is really, truly hard to believe. We've brought more than 2,200 couples on 114 different trips from across the country. We've launched to date from 20 cities, but we're also preparing to launch in another three cities when we resume normal operations post-COVID. But in terms of our local efforts, Honeymoon Israel has operated in Atlanta for 4 years. And we're really, really happy to be here. But on your screen, you can kind of see the breadth of where Honeymoon Israel exists across the country and in Canada, in small to mid-sized communities and also large markets. So while the current health crisis has made it really impossible actually for us to achieve our mission of bringing trips to Israel, we found it that much more critical actually today to share our vision with you tonight. So our organization's vision is always our North Star. And our vision is our desire that every single couple who participates on Honeymoon Israel has what they need to build a Jewish family and connect to Jewish life. Young couples, as I think we all know, are really the future of our communities. And Honeymoon Israel wants to be one of many community-wide approaches developed to engage this demographic. We don't want to be the only one. So the more that we can do to not only support these couples on their Jewish journeys through the Honeymoon Israel experience, but also inspire organizations to think differently about serving this demographic, the better and stronger our entire Jewish community will be. So we're really leaning on our vision right now to guide our work in this period of time, and it's helping us achieve our outcomes. These are our 5 outcomes as an organization, and we are working really hard every single day to ensure that we still reach and achieve the outcomes as they're listed on your screen. And we can achieve these, and we are, with the more than 2,200 alumni couples through what we're calling our HMI at Home, our virtual programming efforts that you'll hear more about in a few minutes from Chloe. These are the outcomes we strive to achieve together with the support, of course, of our partners and our funders, but also by our incredibly talented team and thoughtful rabbis and Jewish educators from across the country. And as you take a moment to read through these, like I said, same with our vision, this is also our North Star. This is what we're working towards every single day. And we're seeing that come to life in a different way right now, given the pandemic. But nonetheless, we're finding that our alumni and our couples across the country are still seeking to engage with Honeymoon Israel in a very, very meaningful and important way right now. They're really leaning on the foundation, the community that they built while they were on the ground in Israel. They're leaning on it right now, and when truly community is what matters most. So the alumni themselves have also indicated to HMI that HMI is a lot more than a trip to Israel. And so Honeymoon Israel is in the middle of a 5-year longitudinal study in partnership actually with Stanford University. And the goal of this is really to help identify and illustrate the impact that HMI experience has had on couples after they return home. On this screen, you'll see a few stats that have stemmed from that study. But I'll say the most important message that we can share is that Honeymoon Israel is truly a journey. It's a community, it's an experience that has helped lead hundreds of couples to identifying as a Jewish family, to participating in Jewish activities, to connecting to Jewish life, and to doing Jewish activities with their children. Now I'm really, it's my honor to pass the mic to my colleague, Chloe, who will share a little bit about our shift to virtual programming called HMI at Home and the impact also that Honeymoon Israel has had here in Atlanta.
Thank you. So I just want to see a show of hands, and if you're not on screen, that's okay. You can do a thumbs up. How many of you know someone who has participated on a Honeymoon Israel trip? Okay. Terrific. All right. So great. Now I have a little bit more of a sense of who's in the room. So what you see on the screen really is just a few statistics about what is our Atlanta reach? Who are the couples? We've taken over 300 couples to Israel from Atlanta alone. 40 of whom their trips were postponed. Were supposed to be happening in May and November, and we are currently engaging with them in our local efforts and folded them into our community as well until we can resume operations. As you can see, 60% of people who are going on our trips, this is their first experience in Israel. About 25% of them have gone on birthright, but that's a huge number. So this is their first time really experiencing anything about Israeli culture, and we want that experience to feel luxurious and welcoming and radically inclusive. Okay, let's move on. So I'm going to tell you, we were uniquely poised to pivot in March. We are a remote organization. We sit in at least 10 different cities across the country. And so while we hadn't ever done virtual programming, we were already on Zoom talking with our colleagues. And in March, we shifted what we typically do in person. These are the areas of focus of things that we do on the ground when couples come home. We shifted these programming initiatives online. And to date, we've hosted about 250 virtual programs around these different areas of focus. Next. So from Atlanta alone, we've had over 73 individuals come to different HMI at home programming. And we are not, as well as those who've come from postponed trips, we are not doing in-person programming at this time. However, couples, we know from how they're communicating that they are getting together in smaller groups and continuing to celebrate with one another, doing trivia nights, doing Shabbat dinners. And our programming has included everything from hosting challah baking online to Shabbat across your city. The picture that you're seeing here is of Rabbi Ruth of Bechol Lashon. She was one of our trip rabbis. She hosted a cross cohort, Tashlich, and High Holidays reboot. So doing a little teaching on the high holidays, and then she taught about what the ritual of Tashlich was. We've also tried out something new that we hadn't done before. We're using these HMI experience boxes. What that was is that we knew that our couples were going to have a harder time celebrating the high holy days this year, like everyone else. But one of our main goals is increasing our couples' Jewish confidence. And so we threw out this idea: would people be interested in buying a experience box for $18, and over 180 households signed on to do it. And so you'll see in the next slide what that box looked like. We sent one to all of our postponed couples, and essentially the response that we received was really overwhelming. People felt incredibly more connected to the Jewish community. They said it made meaning of their holiday. They learned something new about Jewish traditions. And this was a year that people were not going to be going to synagogues. And a lot of our couples, they benchmark their year and their Jewish celebration in high holy days, synagogue on the high holy days, lighting Hanukkah candles maybe, and a Seder. And so we really wanted to amplify their experience by complementing it with this box. We also sent out, for those who fulfilled the survey, a challah cover, and people were like, this is the first challah cover I've ever had. And so we really want to just enhance people's experiences with Judaism and create Jewish, I like to say that we're in the business of creating Jewish memories together as a couple. So just a few things that are on the horizon, and then we're going to dive into our couple breakout sessions. But we're continuing to host Zoom occasions and like intimate series, like a conversation series with 18 Doors. We rely on our partners. We work, people in Atlanta, I'm from New York, and people in Atlanta seem to play very well in the sandbox together. And we're working with 18 Doors, with Rabbi Josh Lesser from Beit Chaverim, from the Temple, obviously with all of our friends at the Federation. We're going to be doing a Hanukkah DIY candle making with our most recent cohort, one-year reunions, Purim mixology classes. We're also planning a civil rights tour with our local with Rabbi Josh Lesser. And these are all things that we would typically do in person. And yet our couples are showing up because they trust that what we're going to do is going to be done well. And the picture you're seeing is a Shabbat program that we did nationally. Right before the election, we all just took a collective breath together, lit candles, said Kiddush and Hamotzi, and yeah, I'm going to turn it over to Mike, our co-CEO, before we head into breakout rooms.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to take a minute, to thank a number of you are already supporters of Honeymoon Israel and their friends, and they came to the table early on to say we believed in what Honeymoon Israel is and support Honeymoon Israel, and have done so consistently. And we're deeply, deeply appreciative of that, and that the Federation has been a consistent funder of Honeymoon Israel. My earlier life in Atlanta very much helped shape the creation of the idea of Honeymoon Israel. Some of you might know me from my days when I was director of the Marcus JCC. And Honeymoon Israel came as a kind of an outgrowth of that experience in 2013, reading the Pew Report on the American Jewish Community, and having run JCCs and being a Federation director at that time, recognizing that if we don't engage young couples early on in their relationship, our JCC preschools are going to be empty, our day camps are going to be empty, our synagogue schools are going to be empty, that we needed to find a way to engage young couples in meaningful ways without telling them how to live their life Jewishly, but giving them opportunities to create their life. So Atlanta had a really significant role in the creation of Honeymoon Israel. And I just want to say we are now headquartered here nationally in Atlanta. So this is our national home, and we're in Midtown, very close to Federation offices. So Rachel, back to you.
So we're going to be moving into breakout rooms to hear a little bit more from our couples. Where's Dakota? She's working on the back end to help us do that. So you're either going to be with Laura and Alan, Ben and Elaine, or Allie and Alex, and we'll be together for about 20 minutes and then we'll pull you back.
Welcome back, everybody. Hi, how was that? I hope awesome. I hope all of you had as great of conversation as we did, hearing from Laura and Alan. I am sure all of you enjoyed hearing from Ali and Alex and Elaine and Ben. I'm Avital Ingber. I am Honeymoon Israel's Chief Advancement Officer, and thrilled to be here with all of you tonight. Before we close it out, we just wanted to share with you an opportunity. We wanted to first obviously thank all of you for taking the time. We know that people can be zoomed out. It's hard to be on another Zoom, but I hope that you found this one to be really inspiring and heartwarming, hearing the impact that all of you have. We are proud of the partnership we have with the Atlanta Federation. We're grateful for the financial support, the partnership we have with staff from the Federation coming on our trips, and really thinking about how do we engage these couples broadly in the Atlanta Jewish community. And are so grateful to Debbie and Lindy for their leadership on this program tonight. And really a huge thank you to Laura and Alan and Elaine and Ben and Ali and Alex. You know, we could say all the things in the world, but it doesn't matter. Hearing your stories is what really matters. And so a huge thank you to all of you, and to Dakota and the staff at the Federation. Thank you for this great idea for us to come together and do this. As Rachel mentioned in the beginning, this is Honeymoon Israel's 5th anniversary of running trips to Israel, which is absolutely remarkable. We have more than 4,400 alumni, and we want to invite all of you to come and celebrate Honeymoon Israel's 5th anniversary with us. I'm going to share my screen for a moment. You guys are getting a real sneak peek. This is literally going to hit email inboxes tomorrow. This has not even gone out yet. But on the 5th night of Hanukkah, we are going to be celebrating our 5th anniversary. And we are really excited. It is going to be an opportunity for all of our alumni, for our partners, for our funders, for anyone that wants to celebrate Honeymoon Israel, which would be all of you, to come together in a very special way. We have alumni who are helping to produce this program, and you'll get to hear even more inspiring stories than you heard this evening. So we will follow up through the Federation with an invitation so that you can actually register. But we really hope that you will join us, and if you were inspired tonight, even invite others to come as well. And I think one of the things that is so exciting about this for us, besides the impact that we've had over the last 5 years, is that we are turning to our alumni for them to be able to give back. Our alumni are stepping up to be the host committee, to recruit, to pass along the message of paying it forward, and to get the alumni to just start giving so that others can have the opportunity as well. And I think, you know, our goal over time is that the alumni will really own this organization. We have alumni on our board, we have alumni in leadership roles, and we are so grateful for the partners that we have for helping to make this happen. And most of all, for Mike having this brilliant idea. And so thank you to Mike for not just having the idea, but actually putting it into action. So I promise you, you'll get, I saw some of you taking pictures. I love it. We will get all the information for this. And I am going to turn it over to Debbie to close us out.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It was wonderful to learn more about Honeymoon Israel and the innovative work being done to help young couples find their place in our community. Thank you, Mike, Avital, Chloe, and Rachel for your amazing efforts with Honeymoon Israel. It is truly transforming the future for so many families as they continue the journey at home that they start together in Israel. We hope you will join us for our other pop-up programs, which we will email you about. And please remember that Federation is here to connect you to resources in our community. Please visit jewishatlanta.org to explore our new website. Stay well and good night.